What did you think about I didn't even ask you. What did you think about The Rock showing up on was it was it SmackDown
SmackDown.
last week?
Um, yeah, I thought it was fine. I guess they're maybe putting him in a program with Austin Theory, which is a little weird. I maybe wouldn't put him in a program with him. I guess they must have so much faith in Austin Theory because they put him in the program with John Cena. They put him in the program with Vince and the under and Stone Cold. They're doing it with The Rock now, and I don't know. It's strange.
Do fans reject Theory for the same reason they rejected Roman Reigns for a long time, and that is because the company has faith in them?
No, and if you go back to Theory in the NXT, people have so much more fondness for that version of him because he was in NXT, he was, for lack of a better word, a himbo.
Okay.
Just an absolute dummy.
Dummy. I like
But
that.
people, but he would, but a solid hand in the ring could go pretty well. So that was kind of a fun version of him. Whereas in WWE, he's the cocky, brash, you know, confident heel. And it's like, well, you're just kind of white bread at this point. But if they just kind of made him a bit of a dummy again, people would be like, oh, this guy's kind of entertaining.
I don't hate him. I'm also a little bit of a contrarian. I don't guess a lot of people hate him. I've never really heard people say good things about Austin Theory. I think his in ring work is good, and I think he looks fucking great. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
he's got star qualities, I think, but for whatever reason, the audience doesn't seem to accept him. But to your point, bringing out Dwayne the Rock Johnson to feud with Theory is obviously a massive endorsement of this guy. They want to see him rise, I think, to being like top tier talent. I don't know who else they would have like put. It's been like what 4 or 5 years since The Rock's been on TV.
Mm-hmm. He popped up. I remember when they debuted on Fox, which I guess was about 4 years ago. He popped up and he had a great segment with Becky Lynch because at the time Becky Lynch was just at the height of her powers as the man. People fucking loved Becky Lynch, and she's great on the mic. She's a great promo. So her and The Rock cut promos on Baron Corbin, and just with nothing but words, both of them tore him a new asshole.
It's good stuff. Rock had the chant going for Austin Theory this time on Friday. It was like, when I point to this side, I want you to say you're a. When I point over here, say an asshole. And he's like orchestrating it, and
Yeah,
people were eating it up, man. I don't think I've ever seen The Rock and thought that he looked old until this appearance of him.
looked kind of old. I thought so too.
He did, man. And not obviously he is older, so no shame in aging and stuff. But like I felt like he was one of those like cryogenically frozen at some certain point in his life and will
I
never
think
get
it's
older than
weird that
this.
if you go to the height of his powers in WWE, like in 2000, 2001, 99, he's way bigger now
Mm-hmm.
than he was then.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
It's
Yeah.
scary.
So, anyways, I just wanted to get your quick take on that. What's up, y'all? I am Jeremy, and wrestling is terrible. And joining me, as always, is Tristan Glover from the Martial Arts Film Freak. And we're going to talk a little bit about NXT TakeOver in Dallas. Tristan. Sheesh!
It's like totally lost where you're going with that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's Chad Gable's thing. Yeah, I wanted to watch this because Chad Gable is he's having a good run right now, feuding with Gunther. I'm hoping that by the end of this feud, he will take that belt off of Gunther, get something he deserves.
So right now
Uh,
he's in Alpha Academy
he is in
with
Alpha Academy with Otis
Maxine
and
Dupree and Otis.
Maxine.
Okay. And
Mhm.
what do you think about that faction?
I think they're great. I think they're entertaining as hell. I love what they're doing with Maxine, bringing her in. That was a solid choice. Otis is always fantastic. Otis used to be in a tag team with a guy named Tucker called Heavy Machinery. Is that right? Heavy Machinery? Is that right? That feels right. I could be talking about another tag team, but I feel like they're called Heavy Machinery. They're no longer around. Tucker no longer works for WWE. But I've always loved Otis and having his comedy and his, skill and being just a power lifter along with the Olympic wrestling of Chad Gable. It's a solid combination.
I really enjoy the Otis, Chad and Maxine dynamic. It's like Chad Gable's kind of their coach because he's got the Olympic training.
Mm-hmm.
Otis is almost like one of those like Hodor from Game of Thrones, man of very few
Mm-hmm.
words. And then Maxine, like I don't really know a whole lot about her other than like you told me she like was very awestruck by Otis as like a physical
Yeah.
specimen and
She was the manager to two wrestlers who were like male models. But then she
maximum male
saw,
models. Is that right?
yeah, but
Okay.
then she saw Otis and was like, I must have him.
He's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I look at you got Imperium, you got the Viking Raiders, you got Alpha Academy. Like all of them kind of have like a comedic slant to them. And I wonder if like can somebody like Chad Gable, I guess he would almost have to go solo to be able to like rise up to be like headlining wrestler,
I
or
don't
has he
think so.
done
I think
that
you can. I think
before?
you can do it. I think you could have a comedic group, and somebody in the group, you know, gets big, and they stay in there. I mean, you've got if you look back at 2018, the New Day, even though the New Day has always been looked at as amazing wrestlers, they're quite comedic. And
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston was WWE champion, Big E was WWE champion.
I mean, even Imperium, there's a comedic spin to that. And Gunther
There's
is
a bit, yeah.
very top tier overpowered wrestler. So yeah, maybe that theory doesn't hold water as much. I guess I'm kind of tying it to that documentary, The Wrestlers, where Al Snow had the head and
Mm-hmm.
said that like he could never become like top talent because of the funny gimmick.
I think his point was that like he put more effort into having great matches and not having good programs. Like he never he put more effort into making sure that his single individual match was great and not actually looking forward into the future and saying how can we take this program even further.
I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. So back to the conversation at hand here. NXT, to my understanding, is and this is what it is. It's like the developmental brand of
Mm-hmm.
WWE. So you take the people fresh out of wrestling school and you put them in NXT. Is that like a
Mm-hmm.
basic overview?
I mean, it used to be, and it's kind of going a little bit more back to it. You had plenty of people who were just coming in, and NXT was their start. NXT was where they got their training, and that's how they got their start in wrestling. But they also would bring in crazy talent from the world of the indies, and even though they were like, "Hey, you're obviously a fantastic wrestler, keep that," but we're also going to train you in how to do that for massive audiences and nationwide, worldwide television. Some people it would dilute them, and some people they could maintain their style.
So back in 2016, we had the opening NXT Takeover match was a tag team match for the tag team championship. It was between American Alpha, Chad Gable, and Jason Jordan, and they
Mm-hmm.
went against the Revival, which was Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson. I know that Chad Gable was previously an Olympic wrestler. I don't know for
Mm-hmm.
like how long he did it. At what point in Chad Gable's development history as a wrestler do we get this 2016 match?
I mean, this was just some prime American Alpha. I think this was like it wasn't really even that long after this. I know they win the championships in this match, but it doesn't feel like it was that long after this that they went to the main roster.
Okay. Okay. So this was kind of like Gable was established at this point.
Yeah, I think I think Revival was already established. They came in as champs. American Alpha built up to competing for it, but I mean he kind of comes in. If I remember right, he kind of came in like having it figured out of like who he was at least in NXT.
People were definitely chanting his name in particular out of everybody up there. Is Jason Jordan still a wrestler?
He had a severe neck injury, and he is now a backstage producer in WWE.
And the Revival members, are they still wrestling?
They are in AEW. They are currently the AEW Tag Team Champions.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So oftentimes when we talk about specific matches, there's a method to your madness. Why do we watch this match, Tristan?
It's just for Chad Gable. Chad Gable's on this great run right now. He's competing against Gunther. Like I said, I hope he takes that title off of him. He just had a couple fantastic matches on Raw the past few weeks, and I just want to highlight some good Chad Gable. And also, FTR here and Jason Jordan was a freak athlete.
2 months ago, obviously there's no new ideas under the sun. I'm not taking credit for this. I brought up Chad Gable and how he had a really impressive showing of, I think it's when they fought Viking Raiders. I think it's when I saw Alpha Academy fight Viking Raiders. It was the first time I'd ever seen Chad Gable wrestle. And I was just like, this dude is sick. And I almost feel like because I said that, I mean, like 50 people viewed it. I think because I said that, they ended up really starting to push Gable. Is that possible?
Yeah. You are secretly working behind the scenes in WWE.
Real trendsetter. But yeah, man, it does. It feels like ever since then, and obviously no, I'm not delusional, but it seems like that was almost like the takeoff before they started to really push him. And obviously him fighting with Gunther, there's like this David versus Goliath element to it. And I thought that that the matches between the two of them so far have been really entertaining.
Yeah, and I mean, and with him getting this push, it was, there's only so long that you can watch a guy put in incredible moments, incredible efforts in like, a standard TV match or a lower card pay-per-view match. There's only so long you can watch a guy just constantly excel and excel and excel. And, imagine, I'd hope that this is the thought process of someone in charge. There's only so long you can watch a guy do that until you just got to be like, all right, let's give him a program. Because this dude, every time, no matter what, even if it's just a meaningless multi-man match at WrestleMania just to get some people on the payday, and still, like, I can look back at matches where I don't remember anything else from that match, but I remember the Chad Gable moment.
Yeah. Okay. Was there a big Gable moment in this NXT Tag Team Championship match?
This whole match is a Gable moment. Him and Jason Jordan. I mean, FTR are great in it too. They're playing the heels, but he's just so fluid, so clean. And then Jason Jordan, like I said, was just a freak athlete. They were just a match made in heaven for this.
I didn't see a whole lot of moments that blew me away. I will say that there is a lot of fluidity in it. There was a lot of like counters and roll-ups and pins and reversals and a lot of that going on through the match. And I like it, but it is hard to sell some of it where it just kind of looks like two people like flipping around on a mat, which contradicts a lot of what I've said about flipping. I feel like it's different off the top rope than it is down on the freaking mat.
Yeah, you're a high flyer guy. So this was just a technical matchup for the ages, because you've got the Revival, who the reason they're called the Revival is because they were
they're like some Carolina
some like, some deep South wrestling 80s. I mean, they're technically modeled off of I think it was Tully Blanchard and I'm fucking blanking on his name. Someone's going to be mad at me.
Wouldn't matter for me anyways, because
Tully Blanchard and someone else I can't think of. But the members of the Four Horsemen, pretty much.
Okay.
And just this old school down and dirty brawler and technical wrestlers. And so you put them up against the technical brilliance of Chad Gable and the athleticism of Jason Jordan, and it's just a masterpiece of technical wrestling.
There were a couple of I don't have notes as far as what each of the specific things that really stuck out to me are, but the thing that the image that plays in my head thinking back to that match was Gable and one of the two guys outside of the ring, and Gable goes to run around the corner where the turnbuckle's at, And the dude just meets him over on the other side with a brutal clothesline. I mean, clotheslines happen all the time, but you just heard the slap of this one so
Mm-hmm.
loud, and it was brutal. Like, I don't know that it felt so much harder than it should have. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so, but I mean, I'm sure they sold it pretty well. I'm sure there's probably like a leg slap in there somewhere. The other name I was trying to think of was Arn Anderson. So someone
Arn
before they yell at me in the comment section, Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson don't get in my business.
Arn Anderson, I've heard that name before. What was the name? Do you know what their tag team was called?
I can't remember their individual tag team, but they, along with Ric Flair and somebody else I can't remember, were in the Four Horsemen, which the Four Horsemen just was a revolving cast of characters, whether it be Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Chris Benoit or Sting, or just it was like the fourth person or fifth, sometimes fifth people, even though they were the Four Horsemen, sometimes they would have five people. It was just a revolving cast of extra people.
Dude, the Wrestlers has a Ric Flair's final match
Mm-hmm.
in it.
Yeah, they attended that.
That was wild. Oh man.
Yeah, he shouldn't have done that shit.
He had like a t-shirt on. Like
He passed out in the ring at one point.
oh, did he?
Yeah, at one point he says he's like, I'm pretty sure I was out at that moment.
Holy shit. Anyways, a whole separate thing, but that was wild. Yeah, I really do like Chad Gable. It seems like he resonated with the audience. Jason Jordan, I haven't seen anything else from other than this, but he definitely seemed like a good wrestler. And I believe it was Dash Wilder of the two of the Revival members that kind of stood out to me in that match. Do you think one of them is better than the other?
In the revival?
Yeah.
I like both of them a lot. I would probably lean towards the bald dude, now called, I believe, Dax Harwood.
Okay.
Just because last year, even though they were always still a tag team, he would kind of get into a few singles programs where he was just really outstanding. He was really, really good. Jason Jordan, again, you probably just really don't know much of him now just because he's backstage producer after a bad neck injury. But he took a lot of flack from fans because when Kurt Angle came back, they did a storyline where Kurt Angle had an illegitimate son. And everybody, all the fans were like, it's fucking Chad Gable. It's got to be Chad Gable. Oh my God, it's going to be Chad Gable. This is going to be perfect. It's Chad Gable. And they said, no, it's Jason Jordan. And even though they could have done something really good with that, fans just were like, you fucking picked the wrong one.
Yeah, we decided already because he was an Olympic athlete, but that's the swerve, right? Like if it would have been Gable, it would have been super predictable.
Yeah.
And Jason Jordan is not at fault for the decision. Maybe, I don't know.
No. And he was great.
Works.
And I love him in this match. I love a lot of the stuff he did. I wish he didn't get that bad neck injury. I wish I could still see him on screen. I know he would be doing some amazing stuff if he was still wrestling.
So he did make it to the main roster. He was WWE.
Yeah. He was in main roster WWE, yeah. And he's one of those, that's one of those weird decisions. I think they did a draft and like they drafted like Chad Gable to SmackDown and him to Raw. And that's one of those situations where people were like, why'd you do that? Why did you just break them up?
This great
what was the purpose
team
of splitting them up?
Yeah.
And they never have plans for people like that. They'll split up a tag team and sometimes do nothing with either one or do nothing with one of them. It's like, you had a great thing going with both of them. And why'd you do that?
So
what do you think of Chad Gable with long hair?
I was just about to say, so when I see a lot of NXT wrestlers, I feel like, and I know this probably goes both ways for fans, like if I really liked Chad Gable on NXT and then I saw this new iteration, maybe I wouldn't care for the new iteration as much. But I feel like once they get to the WWE, they've figured out what works best for them. Like I didn't see a lot of Gable's performance or personality because I didn't watch any of the lead up. I just saw the match, but I just like his presence more now.
Oh, he has more personality now than he did then. Then it was definitely more about the wrestling. And he didn't automatically become the version of Chad Gable he is now when he got up to main roster. Like he floundered for a long time. Like he was just one of those guys that they would just pair in random tag teams. And it's the same thing, a random tag team they paired him with is with Otis. It just happened to have really, really worked out really well. They, I think if I remember right, he cut his hair when he joined a tag team with Robert Roode, who's a guy I don't think you've seen too much of because he's been injured for a long time. I don't know what they're doing with him, but he's great. And he like adopted Robert Roode's gimmick, and then he did something else, and then he did something else. He's just one of those guys who founded back and forth, and then he started telling people to shoosh.
I don't like the long hair Gable. I hope people don't say that about us, Tristan.
I like long hair Gable. I like long hair Tristan, and I like long hair Jeremy.
Thank you, man. That was very sweet of you. I like long hair Tristan too. No, for real though. I don't feel like I don't know. It's just maybe again, it's what I'm accustomed to, and that's the version that I've got the most fondness for. But I wish I could pull another couple of examples right now where I look at them in NXT and then I compare them to WWE, and I'm like, this new
You've
version.
seen Baron Corbin, right?
Baron Corbin.
You know, Baron Corbin is bald.
Uh-huh.
In NXT, he had long hair and he was balding.
Oh, I bet that was an interesting look. So like maybe the most ideal version of like they make your features work for you the best. I'm looking at this Baron Corbin where he's like balding on top and long hair in the back, and that's that ain't it. You got to shave at that point.
Yeah, he was the lone wolf, Baron Corbin.
Our boy John Cena been very bald for a long time. I swear, like everybody on the payroll is like, we cannot shoot Cena from behind from a high angle. We pay cameramen specifically for the task of not shooting the back of John Cena's head.
But also Hulk Hogan was bald for his entire career, and he just kept hanging on to that back long hair.
That's facts. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I wish I could pull a couple of examples like Rhea Ripley, right? What she wasn't like the Rhea Ripley we know now.
She
back
was
in
like
NXT.
She was a blonde, long hair, bubbly, and now she's goth mommy.
Yeah, goth mommy indeed, dude. I love that character. I'm sure she was great on NXT. She's like one of those wrestlers that I feel like
she like slowly evolved into what she is now. Because if she debuted at the Mae Young Classic, the first one, the tournament, and that's where she was like blonde hair, long hair, and then she went to NXT UK, and that's where she slowly started to blend in the more of the gothic elements. She had a more like a dirty blonde in her hair. It like she had like a bob only on like one side, so like one side was shaved and it came down the other side. Like she just kind of slowly evolved into what she is now.
Yeah, that I think that where she's at right now obviously really works for her. Oh, dude, we haven't talked about it. We gotta touch on these couple of things. What do you think about Nia Jax returning?
Not a fan.
No, me neither.
Not a fan. No, there's a great video. Stevie Richards, ex-professional wrestler, great wrestler. He has a YouTube channel now where he sort of just talks about wrestling, breaks down videos. Have you seen this?
I think so.
Yeah, he has a video of him just breaking down her return and saying like, this spot here, completely unnecessary, could injure this
dangerous
person.
Yeah,
this spot here, she dropped onto Rhea Ripley's chest, and he's like in the corner. She's like a bonsai bomb, I guess is what it was called when Yokozuna did it. And he's like, she should have held on to the ropes to lessen the impact. Instead, she lets go, giving all the force of the impact. And he had like his really solid point was he was like, first of all, you could break one of her ribs. She's one of the top draws in women's WWE right now. Why would you put her in that spot? And then says a handful of the women in WWE have breast implants. If this went really wrong, she could have bursted one of those. It's like, yeah, no, these are a lot of good points as to why Nia Jax should not have done any of that.
So if you go through and freeze frame any given match, you can point out moments where things could have been done better.
Mm-hmm. The problem is she has a reputation.
I was about to ask you that. The thing that makes it different with Nia Jax is she's under more speculation because she injured a couple of her coworkers, right?
Big one was Kairi Sane. Like there's like two spots in one match with Kairi Sane where it's like, why did you do that? And why did you do that? Like just awful. There's a great moment, and I say great as a negative great. She had a match with Charlotte Flair. You should look this clip up. She had a match with Charlotte Flair where something broke down. Something happened, and the match fell apart in the middle of it. And they just legitimately slapped each other. And like they were trying to get back on, like they're trying to like, okay, I'm gonna put you in this hold, I'm gonna lift you up, I'm gonna do this, and they could not get it together. And it's one of the most disastrous matches you've ever seen. I don't know
Oh,
who's at fault.
yes.
I don't know, but it's bad.
I will definitely be watching that when we get done here. I am all for the botched matches. I think that's great. All right. So if we back away from the micro and look at the macro, people were not looking at Raquel Rodriguez like the person that could give Rhea Ripley the smoke, right? Like,
She had a chance. I mean, she's there for a compelling story of like, Rhea Ripley is bigger than most of the women, but Raquel Rodriguez is just as big, and she's going to put up a fight. So that's a compelling story there.
is it though? That like
I mean,
they're
it's
both
it's something
big.
there.
Yeah.
It's something more than her just squashing people who are smaller than her.
So we bring in the even bigger person.
Right, right, right. And even then, I'm like, you could have just used Dewdrop for that.
Dewdrop, is that who's the
Oh wait,
Irish
no, but
girl?
Dewdrop just got fucking injured. God damn it.
Dewdrop is who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Dewdrops are older. Alias. She's the Irish girl.
No, she's Dewdrop now. I'm pretty sure she's still
Okay.
Dewdrop.
Okay.
Unless she changed back her name back to Piper Niven, which I hope she did.
Piper Niven. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, is she
Maybe
Piper Niven?
I think
Then I'm
so.
happy she's Piper Niven again. I don't remember.
Yeah, I agree with you. I and the battle of the big is just it like it's something like you said, and it would be weird to see like Liv Morgan beat Rhea Ripley, but like when we're looking at Gable versus Gunther, it doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest person to dethrone him. I
Right.
mean, look at Rey Mysterio all the way through the years. The guy is
Mhm.
he's a champion. And so I get the thinking of it, but I feel like it was Raquel herself that audiences weren't really like, or
She
maybe
has
not
no character.
audiences, but yeah,
She has no
that
character.
pundits weren't liking. I
She
love her
comes out and she
opening music.
smiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all
And
she
then
does.
she
She just comes out,
flexes
she
her back.
flexes her back, and she smiles. And that's been her thing since she got to WWE. Like her NXT, I think she had a bit more personality. Her whole personality in main roster WWE has just been smile.
It's real crazy. Like when you are the back and then Rhea Ripley's got like a better, more defined back than you even, it's like, all
Yeah.
right.
But and one issue they have with their story they're trying to tell is, and like I said earlier, WWE doesn't have a lot of faces right now. There are a lot of heels. So there's not a lot of, and they have not built up the women's faces at least to put up a good fight against Rhea Ripley. But then Rhea Ripley is just such a fan favorite that even though she is a heel in storyline, she kind of gets cheered a lot when she comes out.
Yeah, she's like,
So she's the
absolutely.
heel and there's not a lot of faces, but at the same time, the fans are like, no, we like her.
Who could credibly, but less important than credibly, take the title from Rhea Ripley and audiences not just completely bucket?
So if Rhea Ripley is a heel right now, but she pretty much is a face to the crowd loves her. There is somebody who WWE has their eye on that is most likely, I'd say about 99% going to happen. There's a woman who can come in, play the heel very well, and take the belt off Rhea, and Rhea have to fight back for it. And Rhea then will just go full face. Jade Cargill. There's a girl, she was in AEW. She's this tall, she's like 6'2", whatever. Just Amazon of a woman. She had a great run in AEW. Her contract just expired. There's a good shot she's going to WWE. She's either going to NXT where she's taking the belt off of, whoever's got the belt there at the time, or she's going main roster and she's taking the belt off Rhea. And I think that's going to be great for her because that's going to make Rhea be the face, and she's going to have to chase for the championship. And Jade Cargill is going to be a one hell of a heel in WWE.
Love it. I'm all in. I think I'm looking at her right now. That would be fucking a really good choice all around. And I would be real interested to see face Rhea Ripley. I guess she would kind of have to be removed from the Judgment Day at that point.
I think you could still have her be a face. I mean, not she's and play it this, but she'll play it the same way she plays it now. she'll just be a sympathetic babyface in that, like, she had her title taken from her and now she has to fight back for it.
I see.
She'll still play heelish like she does now, but she'll have the sympathy of, oh, she just got her ass kicked and now she has to fight back.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I like that. I like that prediction. Let's see what happens. Y'all let us know what your thoughts are on both the NXT match, Takeover Dallas, if you've seen it, and also let us know what your thoughts are about the return of Nia Jax and dethroning Rhea Ripley. Who could that be? Would love to hear your theories down in the comments section. Make sure you check out the Martial Arts Film Freak channel on YouTube, or excuse me, Martial Arts Film Freak on YouTube. I'll post a link down in the description, and check out Lucid Memory as well if you want to hear some cool synthwave music. I'm Jeremy, and on behalf of both me and Tristan, until next time, be terrible. Shoot! I don't know. I stole it from my room.